The robotics adventure, factory acquisition in Madripoor. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across Madripoor, the infamous island nestled south of Singapore. Known for its stark contrasts, a wealthy hightown perched above gritty lowtown, it was a place of opportunity and danger. For the founders of MechaRise Robotics, a humanoid robotics startup with grand ambitions, Madripoor was the perfect backdrop for their next bold venture. Their target, a state-of-the-art factory at 671 Wolverine's Wires Way, previously owned by the infamous Reavers Universal Robotics. The arrival as the founders stepped off their chartered boat in Buccaneer Bay, the sprawling island revealed itself. Hightown's futuristic skyscrapers gleamed in the distance, while Lowtown's chaotic streets hummed with black market trades. "I still can't believe we're doing this," muttered Ava, the team's financial strategist, eyeing the Sovereign Hotel in the distance. "It's a calculated risk," replied Ethan, the CEO. "The property's numbers make sense. With a net operating income, NOI, of $508,279 and a capitalization rate, cap rate, of 10%, it's a solid investment. Plus, the debt service coverage ratio, DSCR, of 1.31 means we have some breathing room on loan repayments." Negotiations in Lowtown. The team made their way to the dimly lit back room of the Princess Bar, a Lowtown landmark. Waiting for them was Jason Hona, better known as Tiger, Madripoor's unofficial ruler and one of the few figures capable of navigating the island's murky real estate market. "The factory's in good condition," Tiger began, sliding a folder across the table. 96% occupancy with long-term mixed-use tenants. Your effective gross income, IG, is $660,172 annually, and the operating expense ratio, OR, sits at 23.01%. It's a goldmine, but you're stepping into Reavers territory. Ethan glanced at the power broker score in the file, 4 stars. This was a high-potential asset. "We're aware of the risks," he said. "But we're also aware of the opportunity. Robotics startups thrive in places like Madripoor, where innovation isn't hindered by red tape." A factory with history. The team toured the facility the next day. The 17,235-square-foot factory was a testament to advanced engineering. The hum of machinery filled the air, and the space was equipped with prototyping labs, AI development suites, and manufacturing lines perfect for humanoid robotics. "This is where the future is built," said Maya, their CTO, running her hand over a robotic arm assembly unit. The market rent versus in-place rent was comparable, and with a market vacancy rate of just 4%, the factory promised stability. The replacement cost of $8,500,000 added another layer of confidence to their decision. The financing puzzle. Back in Hightown, Ava finalized the financing details. The property's loan-to-value ratio, LTV, was 65%, offering favorable loan terms. The projected internal rate of return, IRR, of 11% and net present value, NPV, of $250,000 made the investment even more appealing. "This place practically prints money," Ava said. "Even the cash-on-cash return is 8%. If we execute our plan well, we'll outpace these numbers." Challenges and opportunities. Despite the factory's potential, Madripoor's volatile political and criminal landscape loomed large. The team had to navigate local power dynamics carefully. Ethan met with industry contacts at the Sovereign Hotel to establish partnerships and ensure a steady supply chain. Meanwhile, Maya worked to upgrade the facility's security systems, integrating both physical barriers and digital firewalls. "We can't afford breaches either from cybercriminals or Lowtown's more broken bar entrepreneurial residents," she said. The future beckons. With the acquisition finalized, MechaRise Robotics celebrated at a rooftop bar overlooking Hightown. The glowing skyline symbolized the immense possibilities ahead. "This isn't just about owning a factory," Ethan said, raising a glass. "It's about anchoring our vision in a place that thrives on innovation and resilience." Madripoor, with all its contradictions, has become their launchpad. From the bustling streets of Lowtown to the gleaming towers of Hightown, the island embodied the challenges and rewards of entrepreneurship. For MechaRise Robotics, the adventure was just beginning. The robotics adventure, factory acquisition in Madripoor. The sun dipped below the horizon, painting Madripoor in hues of orange and purple. This infamous island south of Singapore was a land of extremes, opulence in Hightown, chaos in Lowtown, and a criminal underbelly unlike any other. For the founders of MechaRise Robotics, this was the perfect stage for their most daring venture to a robotics factory that could catapult their startup into the stratosphere. Their target, 671 Wolverine's Wires Way, a state-of-the-art facility once owned by the infamous Reavers Universal Robotics. This was no ordinary acquisition. It was a gamble in a place where power was the only currency that mattered. The arrival. The team disembarked at Buccaneer Bay, where the salty air mingled with a scent of spice and intrigue. Ahead, the glittering towers of Hightown promised progress and wealth, while Lowtown's dense streets pulsed with life and danger. I still can't believe we're risking everything here, said Ava, the team's financial strategist, her eyes scanning the horizon. Ethan, the CEO, adjusted his jacket. Calculated risk, Ava. The numbers speak for themselves. Net operating income, NOI, of $508,279, a capitalization rate, cap rate, of 10%, and a debt service coverage ratio, DSCR, of 1.31. This factory is a goldmine. Ava smirked. Let's just hope Madripoor doesn't eat us alive first. Into Lowtown. The team made their way into Lowtown, navigating its labyrinthine alleys filled with street vendors and black market traders. Their destination was the notorious Princess Bar, where Jason Hono, known as Tiger, Madripoor's de facto ruler, held court. Inside, Tiger greeted them with a sly smile and slid a leather folder across the table. The factory's a solid asset. 96% occupancy, long-term mixed-use tenants, and a market vacancy rate of just 4%. Your effective gross income, IG, is $660,172, and the operating expense ratio, OR, is 23.01%. It's a dream deal, but it comes with strings. You'll be stepping on the Reaver's turf. Ethan flipped through the file, pausing at the power broker's score, 4 stars. We're aware of the risks, he said. But we're here to innovate, not play politics. Tiger leaned forward, her smile turning sharp. In Madripoor, politics is survival. Don't forget that. The factory tour. Next day, the team toured the facility. Spread across 17,235 square feet, the factory was a marvel of modern engineering. Machines hummed in perfect synchrony, and the labs were equipped with cutting-edge tools for humanoid robotics prototyping. This is where the future of robotics begins, said Maya, the CTO, her hand brushing over a robotic assembly unit. The infrastructure here is phenomenal. Ava pointed out key financial metrics, the market rent versus in-place rent was comparable, and the replacement cost of $8,500,000 added long-term stability. Ethan nodded. This isn't just a factory, it's our launchpad. Financing the dream back in their suite at the Sovereign Hotel, Ava crunched numbers while the others reviewed contracts. The property's loan-to-value ratio, LTV, was 65%, and the projected internal rate of return, IRR, of 11% paired with an NPV of $250,000 made the investment undeniably lucrative. This place practically pays for itself, Ava said. Even the cash-on-cash return is 8%. If we tighten operations, we'll exceed these numbers in no time. The challenges of Madripoor. The team wasn't naive. Madripoor's volatile mix of crime and commerce posed a constant threat. Ethan met with local contacts at the Sovereign Hotel to secure supply chain deals and build alliances. Meanwhile, Maya took charge of upgrading the factory's security systems. We're installing layer defense, physical barriers, AI surveillance, and cybersecurity measures, she explained. We can't afford breaches, whether from cybercriminals or Lowtown opportunists. Trouble in Lowtown. On their final night before closing the deal, a message arrived, cryptic and ominous. It was clear the Reavers weren't thrilled about losing the factory. At the Princess Bar, Ethan confronted Tiger. What's the Reavers' play here? He asked. Tiger shrugged, her demeanor nonchalant. They'll test your resolve. Show them you're not to be trifled with, and they'll back off. It wasn't the reassurance Ethan hoped for, but it was all he'd get. The future beckons. The next morning, the deal was finalized. Atop a rooftop bar in Hightown, the team celebrated with glasses of champagne. Below, Madripoor's chaotic energy buzzed, a reminder of the challenges yet to come. This isn't just about owning a factory, Ethan said, raising his glass. It's about staking our claim in the future. Madripoor, with all its contradictions, has become their proving ground. The factory at 671 Wolverine's Wires Way was more than an asset to it. Was their first step toward reshaping the robotics industry. For MechaRise Robotics, the adventure was only beginning. The primary difference between this story and my previous post lies in the pacing and narrative expansion. Here's a breakdown of how they differ, length and depth. This story is concise and follows a straightforward narrative progression, summarizing key details about the factory acquisition, negotiations, challenges, and future plans in about 3-4 minutes of reading. The previous post expands on these same events with richer descriptions, character development, and extended dialogue, designed to stretch the story to a 10-minute time frame. Character development. This story introduces the main characters briefly and focuses more on the factory and financial metrics. The previous post spends more time on character interactions, motivations, and challenges, allowing readers to connect more deeply with Ava, Ethan, Maya, and their dynamics. Pacing. This story moves quickly from arrival to acquisition, hitting key plot points efficiently. The previous post slows down to detail scenes, such as their arrival in Madripoor, interactions with Tiger, and the factory tour, giving it a more immersive feel. Details and descriptions. This story includes critical financial metrics and key details about the factory but omits embellishments that add atmospheric depth. The previous post incorporates additional atmospheric and environmental details, emphasizing Madripoor's duality and the tension within the story's setting. Narrative focus. This story is centered on the logistics and numbers behind the acquisition, making it practical and streamlined. The previous post balances the technical details with storytelling, such as emphasizing the risks and their celebration, to craft a more engaging narrative. Both versions deliver the same core story but are tailored for different timeframes and levels of engagement. To fill in a debt service coverage ratio, DSCR, value, we need to know the annual debt service for the property. Unfortunately, this information is not provided in the given data. However, we can estimate the DSCR using some assumptions. Let's assume the loan amount is 65% of the replacement cost, since the LTV is given as 65%. The loan amount is calculated by multiplying $8,500,000 by 0.65. This multiplication results in a loan amount of $5,525,000. This calculation likely represents a loan-to-value ratio of 65%, where the loan amount is 65% of the total value of the property or asset being financed. The total value in this case would be $8,500,000, and the loan amount of $5,525,000 represents 65% of that value. Assuming a typical commercial real estate loan with a 25-year amortization and a 5% interest rate, we can estimate the annual debt service. Using a loan calculator, the annual debt service for a $5,525,000 loan at 5% interest for 25 years would be approximately $389,000. Now we can calculate the DSCR. The debt service coverage ratio, commonly abbreviated as DSCR, is calculated by dividing the net operating income, NOI, by the annual debt service. In this specific case, we have a net operating income of $508,279, and an annual debt service of $389,000. When we perform this division, we get a result of approximately 1.31. This means the DSCR for this particular scenario is 1.31, indicating that the property generates 31% more income than is required to cover its debt obligations. Therefore, the estimated DSCR for this property would be approximately 1.31.